Welcome back, everyone. You've got Chantal and Jenny here, two newbies exploring A Course in Miracles. We're continuing on. It is the numbers of the lessons are getting bigger, and our responses and reactions to them also sometimes getting bigger.
It's been a spicy month, I would say, because Jenny's been on holiday, so we haven't met up in a little while.
Yep.
So yeah, no, definitely some crunchiness has come up on my end. There's been a whole new introduction. We're on part two, but I'm like, what was part one?
I know. And because I was traveling, I didn't have the book with me. And so I'm listening to the recording from Marianne Williamson, which all of a sudden stopped coming to my inbox for some reason.
No.
Yeah. And then, 7 days later, 8 days later, they started again. I don't know what happened. But anyways, and I'm listening and I'm like, she hasn't said the lesson. What am I missing? So that new introduction thing threw me. It totally threw me. Wait, it was okay. It was okay.
I think
Thankfully,
maybe you just needed a holiday for a little bit.
maybe. And what I had done is just went back to an old email, went into the Vimeo library, and was able to get right in. So it was
Ah,
fun.
perfect.
Yeah, but it really showed me how much I rely on being able to just go click instead of click, 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 right?
Yeah.
And yes, I have it on my phone, like the app, the Course in Miracles app. I guess it would be considered an app. Maybe it's just the website. It's the website. And it's nice too, but I like listening to Marianne Williamson's take on things. Sorry, I ended up getting sick while I was away, and I still have stuff happening.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So, what's the last few weeks been like for you?
I've had a really crunchy time. My skin has been super reactive. I feel like my skin's on fire. I feel like it's a bit of a pollen allergy as well happening, but it's been very reflective of like me being a very reactive person as well. So definitely have been a bit reactive with my sister. We got into like a little tip, and then also with A Course in Miracles overall, I feel like I've been reactive to quite a bit of like the lessons. So we have the introduction of part two, um, which I would say like as an introduction was kind of lovely. They talk about forgiveness. So that was quite interesting where like me and my sister got into a bit of like an argument around this time. And here we are starting to talk more and more about forgiveness. But what I found is, so we talk about forgiveness, but very much in that we start to talk about God is my father and he loves his son. God is my father and he loves his son. Like over that, there are two lessons that kind of repeat each other, but like from different angles. And the male, like, why does God have to be a gender?
To me, God just is not.
God is source energy. Like to me, it's not even a person.
Yes, exact. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like I had to start changing up the wording of the lessons again. And the one I've got a great big star beside it in my notebook. And it was lesson 224. I had to change it up to the divine is my creator and they love their children.
So, okay, I changed it up slightly. God is my source, and it loves their children as well. Like, yeah, so like his son, his daughter, his kids. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
or its
Um,
kids.
and I started using the word divine again because it felt like God was getting shoved down my throat again. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yes, like I feel like religion started to come into this a bit, or like that those were the feelings I was getting is like,
Yeah.
and I think it just brought me back to church where yeah, like you see like I was raised Roman Catholic, so every time you walk into
Mhm.
a church, you see the
Yeah.
Jesus on the cross and
Yeah.
whatever, and it's just all very male orientated, and it's just anyways, yeah. So I found the is this sexism?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, I found the sexism a bit much. And it felt like religious sexism again. And
Yeah.
like same with like lesson like 228, God has condemned me not. No more do I.
Hmm.
Overall, I like that sentiment, but it says, "My Father knows my holiness." Just say, "God knows my holiness." Like, why? Like, I would rather them because with God, I can imagine God however I want. But the minute they switch to my
Yeah.
Father, I'm just like,
And that's, I'm with you on that, how it changes up and then it changes up how I respond to the word God then.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is one thing that I have noticed is during the text, and I feel I might be misremembering this, but I feel like towards the beginning quarter of the lessons, like the first few, I feel like the Holy Spirit came into it a lot more.
Yes, you're right. I agree.
Where's the Holy Spirit? Like, the Holy Spirit seemed chill. And for
Yes.
some reason, the Holy Spirit in my head, I can call the Holy Spirit he. And I don't like, even though in my head I don't see it as a gender, but
Yeah.
it's sort of like when someone says, like, hey guys, like to me, that's how I see
Oh
the
yeah,
Holy Spirit.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? That like that to me it's a casual he, but when the minute God has a he on it or my son or what, I'm just like, But yeah, so that crunchiness and that reactiveness came up a lot where I was having trouble. I had to change the words. I had to really work hard to look past that to
Yeah.
accept the lesson.
Completely had the same response. It's like we said, I was traveling. And so I'm out in a bigger world. I traveled from one end of our country to the other. And even though there was words that were triggering and different things happening, I so got to experience the that moving in the world as a bigger place while doing A Course in Miracles. And I noticed a lot of things. And so something that I noticed a lot of was really trusting that all is just well,
Yeah.
no matter what's going to occur, because we know what it's like to travel, right? Because I was going by vehicle, and I was flying and in airports around lots of people and just all the things that are going on, and arriving somewhere where I've never been before and getting the vehicle that we've rented, and just all the things that happen when you travel, and just really being in the flow of it, really being in the flow of it and enjoying it, not worried, not concerned, not anxious, none of those things, and really feeling the oneness that the Course in Miracles talks about a lot, right? And just oneness with everything that the Creator, God, has created here, whether it's the people or the different animals, or even just the land that I'm walking on that is completely different than the land here at home. So I was in PEI, the earth is red there. And just having oneness around that, walking down the beach, and there's all these families and all these people, just thinking about it just gets me a little verklempt, and just feeling the oneness
Yeah.
was really beautiful. And so it's my sister and I that did this trip, and both of us love the like going to museums and those sorts of things. So we did a lot of that, and just being in these old houses and feeling oneness with the people that lived there, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, hundreds of years ago, whatever the case was. And just it was just feeling that oneness. And it's because of A Course in Miracles that that's what my experience was. And so going to PEI, of course, we did all of the Anna Green Gables, Lucy Maud Montgomery stuff. And I'm a big fan of Lucy Maud Montgomery, and an even bigger one now, having learned more and experienced more, and like walking along places where she walked. And there's all sorts of quotes from her, like little excerpts from her novels, but also quotes from her because she was a huge journal writer. So it's quotes from her journals or from letters to family and friends about how much she loved PEI and what the land did for her and everything. And like walking and crying. It was so beautiful, just being really present.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was neat to explore the world while doing explore a bigger world while doing A Course in Miracles. And it was I guess the only thing I can think of, like, it felt helpful and supportive as I did something that before I would have gotten a little bit nervous about and had little worries, about this and that, and I just had none. And while I had none, watching others have more, it was just really, then it really was extra interesting to watch that and observe that. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it was really lovely. And at the same time, tricky. Our regular days, it was no problem to do the lesson in the morning and then continue on. But the days that we were traveling and like a flight's delayed, which means now you've missed your connector, which means that you're now staying in Edmonton and that was not the plan, and those sorts of things. I kind of got messed up on some of the lessons, like just where I was, and just allowed that just to be what it was also. So letting go of that perfect student, like what you chatted about before, and just going with it.
Yeah.
Just going with it. Yeah.
Yeah, there is this, like, I think that's been one of my biggest lessons that I've learned through doing this, is that I need structure. I need that commitment to my own practice of, you're going to do this every morning and you're just going to do it. Whether you want to or not, you're just going to do it. But that being okay with life getting in the way, and if it doesn't happen every day, it's okay. And not letting that kind of give me like anxiety of like, oh, I'm not a good enough student, but to remain dedicated. Because I find if I go too much of the welcoming in the bad student, or whatever I like to call it, like the rebel student, whatever, I don't do it enough. So I need that dedication, and I really enjoy that dedication, a bit of that strictness, that I just function really well that way, and I get joy out of that. But to not let, like, if it doesn't happen, it's okay, it's not the end of the world. Like, so what? Yeah. Like, God's not gonna fire me.
Nope. It just doesn't work that way. No, it just doesn't work that way. Thankfully, right? Perfection is not the goal around any of this. And I love the whole, even if there's a lesson that you're like, I don't quite get this one, or I can't quite sink into it, or something, knowing that you do have the choice and the opportunity to, in 365 days, do that lesson again. And maybe that time is when it will just become a little more clearer for you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And just to trust and allow that also.
How do you find, I don't know if you would have seen this because you were on holiday, but so in the book, there was like an extra little bit of copy on like, what is forgiveness? And so they just go into the paragraph. So it's not a lesson, it's just some more text. I guess it would be called. And then they've also done one on salvation now. How are you finding those things, kind of those little actually, that's exactly what it felt like to me, like little refreshers getting fit.
The forgiveness one, I got to read, to pay attention to. I didn't the salvation one.
Yeah.
Looking for my book this morning, and my house is a disaster because of all the stuff that's going on in the studio. It's even more of a disaster now. I couldn't find my book. And so I'm looking forward to getting the book and feeling like I've got my roadmap a little bit more in front of me again.
Yeah.
But I really liked the text around forgiveness. That I really enjoyed.
I wish A Course in Miracles was more set up this way. Like, even
Like
I
those
feel like,
themes and then the lessons, the themes and the lessons, like an introduction and the theme. Is that what you mean, Chantal?
yeah, like I would like that to be like the little review or whatever, like, because it's only like a lot of these are only like 3 paragraphs, like it's or a page, like
Yeah.
it's not a ton,
Yeah.
but a little bit more like, okay, I'm just gonna refresh your brain a little bit and here you go. And
Yeah.
like I sort of wish that when we were reading the text that there was, I don't know, one every 5 chapters, or I mean it's not really it's divided up into chapters, but not really. Anyways, um every so many pages or so, it would give you like a little exercise to do, right? So like you
Mm-hmm.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
start to get that
Yeah.
integration a little bit, like so the
Yep.
text kind of sinks in a little bit more.
Just because the text is so dense, we've talked about this, and it took us a really long time to read.
Like shockingly long, and we're
Shockingly long. And we're both readers, right? And it was a bit of a meander, is the thing, too.
yeah,
Right? Like it's a little information over here, and then we're going to come back to this, and then there's more information coming on this. And I mean, it all sort of does start to make sense as you go, as we've talked about. Yeah, I like that idea of that little a little exercise or a pause to try some of these thoughts out for a while, these
yeah,
feelings, these ideas, these words.
or like even like like moments of journaling, or like moments of like,
Mm-hmm.
or like take a moment and write down
Yeah.
what you currently understand of this, or whatever, or like what
Yeah.
like you took from that lesson. And I think
I
I would reread it.
know we've talked about that too, right? I don't know if we talked about it here, like in our recording of the podcast. Like, would we reread the text? Because we were talking about, are we going to do A Course in Miracles again? Like, right? And we both said yes, interested in the lessons. I know myself, I said I am not interested in reading the text again.
And there is something to it where I feel like a bit like the Bible or church or whatever. Now, like I went to church as a little kid, not as an adult, so my memory of it is not
Yeah.
probably proper of how it actually was. But there's sort of this vibe I had that you'd go to church and like they would read a random part, right? And it was
Mm-hmm.
probably like intuitively like the priest would probably
Sure.
choose what he felt that the
Congregation was in need of. Yeah.
yeah, right? And so I sort of feel like now I would open a random page, read a little bit.
Yeah.
Once I felt
That's
full,
true.
stop, you know. So I feel like I would go back and read, but I
Mm,
wouldn't read it back to front like I
I
originally.
like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And
There's a
then
term for that. I
I
can't
think
remember
with
what it's
that,
called,
I would this time I would then read a little bit, journal, see what I learned from it. Like I would start to play around with it a little bit more.
yeah.
Um, and maybe do a little bit more of like exercises within that, or maybe like open a random page to the text, read, open a random lesson, and be like, okay, now I'm going to do that lesson and see how the two kind
Mhm.
of,
Yeah.
because it's all related, right?
It's
So
all
I'm
related. There's
sure the
nothing,
first page would be
yeah,
a good
yeah,
lesson 248. I don't know.
totally, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like that idea of just randomly opening a page within the text. I did so much underlining in the text to like going back and seeing, oh, okay, so this really struck me last time. Is it striking me the same way? Is there another section that is me having underlined this? Is it something that I'm remembering, able to remember back and go, oh, no wonder I underlined this. It really meant a lot to me. Or I underlined it because it didn't make any sense to me. And it's great that I'm rereading it and having maybe a little bit more insight to how I think or feel about it,
Yeah.
what it means to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like really interesting. Like another one that sorry, I just keep on like as I'm flipping through this, just all of like the sexist ones.
I know.
Just really like getting really highlighted. Like again, like Sorry, lesson 234. Father, today I am your son again. No, I'm not. Sorry.
No, I'm not.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Like,
Happy to be your child.
like source today,
Yep.
I am part of you again. I don't know. Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yep.
I'm connected to you again.
Yep. Um,
Yeah.
I have a funny little story. Again, it's around Lucy Maud Montgomery. I'm reading one of her books that I've never read before,
Ooh,
and
which
it was
one?
The Story Girl.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
I had not either, and it's Lucy Maud Montgomery's favorite. Yes, and so I made sure to, and I didn't realize how many novels she'd written.
Yeah.
So many more than I thought. Anyways, so The Story Girl, and I was like, I'll just buy it when I get home, or I'll listen to it on Audible or something. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna buy it while I'm here in Cavendish, in her home area. And I started reading it while I was there. And I'm continuing to read it now. And yesterday I got home, landed, and it's still really hot here right now. And I went and I sat under the willow tree with my cat and my dog and my book and continued to read. Lovely. And there's this story about these young children, and they're very devout, right? And they're very curious to know and see. They so badly wish they could see a picture of God. Yeah, so badly. And they talk about it, something that they talk about while they're playing and doing things together as this little group of children. And so it's talked about in these group of stories. And then later on in the novel, one of them says, guess what? So and so from school says that he has this history of the world book, and there's a picture of God in it. And they're just giddy. They're so excited. They so badly want to see it. And so they've asked the other boy from school if he could bring the book so that they could see it. And he asks his mom, and his mom tells him no, he's not allowed to bring it. But the little boy says, if you pay me 50 cents, I'll rip the page out and I'll sell it to you. And and of course, they're all like, oh, they'd all just done this fundraising. They have no pennies left, but they get it figured out and they all contribute this little bit. And they're just anxiously waiting for him to come. They have a designated day that he's going to walk and bring this picture. And they've dressed nicely because they're about to see God, and they want to be, they want to be ready for this. It's just, the way Lucy Maud Montgomery writes. And so he brings them this picture, and at first they're quite offended that he's put it into a fish basket. Like, oh, how could you do such a thing? It's just so great. I just love how she writes. And they get this picture and they open it up and they're devastated, because this picture of God is this very stern looking old man who just looks grumpy and stern, and they're heartbroken. They're just so heartbroken, and they're so wishing that they've never seen it, because now when they think of God, that's how they're going to think of him, and that's not how they thought of him before. And so one of them decides, we need to ask the Reverend. We need to ask the Reverend is if this is really a picture of God. And it's supposed to, and they're like, and it's even worse because it's supposed to be God in the Garden of Eden. Like, it's just this, yeah. And they're so upset. They're so upset. And so one of them gets brave, and because the others are like, I don't think we should chat with him about it. One of them like, no, we're going to do this. I'm going to be the one to do it. So they go and they ask, and the Reverend says, no, of course that's not a picture of God. Like, there is no picture of God. God is love and peace, and talks about God as that creator and that beautiful spiritual feeling and aspect and everything. And so the kids are feeling much better. They're like, okay, I feel better, but they're still talking about how it's just ruined for them when they think of the image of God, and that they so wish that they had not spent 50 cents to have this picture given to them and to destroy what they thought of as God. And so that's sort of what I think we're experiencing too with A Course in Miracles at times, just like, hey, don't be trying to tell me that God is male and we are all sons, and because that doesn't feel good in my heart. And so I'm not going to go there because I'm not letting your picture and your image tell me how it looks and feels and sounds and all of those things. So I think it's right.
Well, I think this is why, like, to me, I feel like this is why certain religions don't let you depict gods. And I think that's a really smart idea.
Yeah.
I don't like the you're not allowed as in like it's a rule and you're bad if you do it, but it's everyone should be able to maintain their own image of what that is.
Yes.
Because my imagination, like those children, are so much more vivid and so much more
Yes.
rich and juicy and
Heartfelt.
yeah, than any picture could ever be.
Yeah.
And yeah, and again, like this is it, is like the minute they say he and son, I feel like that there's this depiction, there's this family tree, there's this, and I'm like, I that's just not what it feels like to me.
Do you know what the words come right away? Is it feels like we get plucked out of the magic.
Yes.
And the peace and the love and the oneness and all of those great, juicy, wonderful things. And yes, that's how we're responding to it, knowing other people aren't, and that's totally fine. There's no right or wrong in it, but it is knowing ourselves and what feels better. Like both of us near the beginning, we chatted about, not the beginning of today, but the very beginning of A Course in Miracles, how as we moved through the text, we got a little more comfortable with the word God again.
Yeah.
Instead of like closed off, like, don't be telling me what to believe in. And it meanders back and forth. And I think part of it is each of us just getting clearer and clearer and clearer on how we think, feel, believe.
Yeah.
While being very open to what is being presented to us. And still allowing ourselves to have a response.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, absolutely. And I think like as well, when I think father and son, it's very interesting because then I start to think of like my dad's lineage, and his father wasn't very nice to him. To me, I was brought up knowing that like his father-son relationship with his dad wasn't a very good one. And then for me, like my dad just wasn't like, I mean, he was around, but he wasn't around a whole lot. Like he was always traveling for work and stuff like that. So I was never that close with my dad. As much as I love him, we just weren't that close. And so for me, when I think of God or source, I think of this unconditional, really beautiful, supportive love that's just always there no matter what.
No matter what.
But when the word father comes in, I'm like, well, dads aren't really around. Do you like, or like, or father
totally
relationships? I'm like, well, those can be quite mean relationships. Like it's
they can. They're very complex. They're very complex. The human experience with our parents is very complex.
Yeah.
Where and not to say that our experience with God, the creator, the divine, isn't complex. However, it's unconditional love, no matter what, all the time, forever and ever. Amen.
Something just came to me. Do we think that they switch to the word father every once in a while when like maybe the intention is for a bit of that crunchiness to come in?
I totally agree. Yep.
Yeah. Or like, okay, at some point in the text, can't remember where, but like they do kind of talk about how we come from source energy and how we had this thought of separating. And so we separated and God was like, yeah, cool, you can do whatever you want. Right. And we separated, we're kind of in this weird dream state now. And we can't really wake up until we've we've had the thought to reconnect with source again, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so, and truly believe that we can, and connect with like the full oneness. And maybe it is that the more we do A Course in Miracles, the more Father and Son will begin to feel like oneness, rather than us seeing the word God or source being the feeling of oneness. You know what I mean? Like, it shows us the array of it. And maybe when Father comes up, that's our like marker of whatever crunchiness or whatever we're feeling about that. If we're still feeling like that distance, there's still some work there to be. Right?
Yes.
Just falsely sitting
Yes.
like, yeah, source is great.
Yeah. I completely agree. And do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of it was the first or like second class when we did our intuitive coach training. And it was Divi who said, there are people in this group that are going to trigger you. And that's perfect. They're supposed to. It's why they're here. It's why you're here. You're going to trigger other people too. And that's where huge learning is going to happen. And we both experienced that.
Yeah.
And we both know too that when we are triggered, when we're uncomfortable, that's when real learning is happening, real exploration, a real deep dive. That's when it's happening. It's not not that it isn't happening when we read a lesson from A Course in Miracles and go, oh my gosh, that just feels so good in my whole body. And I did the lesson all day and it just feels great. That's all wonderful and good. The crunchiness, the itchy skin, the being irritated by things, and allowing ourselves to still dive in, even though it's maybe painful, it's maybe uncomfortable. That's when the real juicy stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Right? That's when the big learning is happening. And so I really think that, so you and I get triggered by that. Somebody else gets triggered by something, other words that are used or other thoughts that are brought forward. And hopefully they're in the midst of being triggered, the dive happens, not the shutdown, but the dive. Right? Or we shut down this time and go, I just don't like that lesson. I'm just gonna skip this one if that's somebody's response. And then maybe if they do A Course in Miracles again, that lesson comes again and they're like, oh, it's a little more, I've done more work and now this lesson isn't as triggering, or it's triggering still. And I wonder why.
Yeah.
That ability to be curious from our triggers and not just triggered and shut down.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about you asking the question about those human relationships between fathers and sons, and between like parents and children. Are we being triggered for a reason? And I think we're always being triggered for a reason. There's always a reason behind it. And if we allow ourselves to be curious and not shut down, that's when the real learning happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And is it comfortable? No, it is not comfortable to be triggered. Right? And nobody else is responsible for it either. We're responsible for our own, and then we're responsible to get curious about it.
Oh yeah, like I've had such a crunchy such a crunchy month, and I can honestly say I've learned so much this month, and there's still a lot more for me to learn, because I'm not out of the crunchiness yet or whatever. And more crunchy times will come, and I welcome them. But it's yeah, you do learn a lot in that time, and as well because we're doing A Course in Miracles, because we are doing the work. We can still see the joy in like the crunchy times.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Piper is feeling very crunchy right now.
The crunch.
She is. And when she gets crunchy, she gets very curious. She wants to know what's going on the other side of that door right now, and why isn't she allowed over there like she normally is? Right? Yes, you're very crunchy right now. Sorry, I had a thought just about, maybe I've lost it. It was a thought just around getting okay with feeling crunchy.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. And do any of us really want a life where we just, that everything is just like sort of bland and flat all the way? We don't, right? When it comes right down to it, we don't want to live like that. We want to have a response and a react and a be triggered and be a little reactive sometimes and actually feel things.
And the crunchiness is what brings us so much clarity. Like,
Yes.
you and I love like
Contrast clarity. We love contrast clarity, right?
clarity. Yeah. And it's just, it really does. Like, I was feeling a bit, I want to say like a bit, like things were going quite good, I would say, but I, you know, and I was feeling like really in tune with my guys and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But in a weird way, I was also feeling a bit lost in the goodness, right? And so crunchiness came in, and it helped me get really clear on like what intentions I want to make.
Yeah.
What do I want to simplify? What do I want to focus on? What do I not want to focus on anymore? Knowing what you don't want and seeing that and experiencing it gives you a lot of clarity on what you do want.
So beautiful. Right? It's really beautiful. And we can't get clear on those things unless we experience what we don't want.
Yeah.
And so isn't that just an example too? So you're in this flow of things just going well, and but feeling a little lost, and you know darn well the universe is like, send her some. Just send Chantal some. It's time. She's ready again. It's time to rock her boat a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's when we see what we're really made of.
Oh, totally. Well, and the thing is too, is crunchy times don't stress me out nearly as much as they used to,
Yep.
because I know that it's temporary.
Yep.
Yeah, like I don't feel like I'm gonna be stuck here forever. You know, of course,
Yes.
there's some things where I'm like, oh God, I have to deal with that again, where it's like
Yeah.
I'm still
Please,
working on that
why?
lesson.
Uh-huh.
You know, but right. Like, so it's not to say that there's no frustrations, but it's not nearly as the weight of it isn't such a burden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. In preparing to do this trip that I just was on, I did, yes, I packed and we did research and those sorts of things, but I also did like spiritual preparedness as well, right? So I had myself prepared for something that I thought was going to be a bit of a challenge. And sure, if I hadn't done the preparing that I had, that aspect probably would have been a challenge. Does it mean that there were no challenges during this trip? Of course not. There was something else that I did not know was going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
And did I enjoy that part of it? Not so much. But it brought me great clarity. And because of the prep that I did do, I was in such an empathetic state that empathy was then open to the other parts that were challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is an interesting thing. And like, I love the whole like expectations conversation. And like, I didn't have an expectation about 6,000 things in this column over here. I had no expectations. I had one small expectation, and I didn't realize I had made it an expectation. I thought I had it more around expectancy, which is very different. And I love that conversation too, the difference between expectations and expectancy, right? So expectations is when there's those strings attached and we're attached to the outcome. Whereas expectancy is just like that Christmas morning feel. You're just like, ooh, I'm excited about this, right? Yeah. And I had more strings attached, and I had a bit of an outcome in mind, but I was not noticing that. And did it turn out the way that I thought it was going to? Not at all. And I was like, oh, okay. I know, and I've seen now, I had some expectations around this, and it's coming out differently than I thought. And me years ago, I would have been pissed, I would have been blamey, and all of those things. And was there times that I was pissed and a little blamey? Yes, but I was able to observe myself being pissed and blamey, going, okay, you're feeling pissed and blamey because you had this expectation. and if that part isn't turning out the way that you thought, and it's okay. When we get curious and we're able to observe ourselves and our response to things, it changes how we move in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining us this week. I think that's a wrap on this episode, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thanks everyone. Take care.